It's Aneesa Getaneh. They was doubting by my calling, now they peeping away.
On today's episode of Pretty and Profitable, we're going to talk about some new principles. And I think I have the perfect guest because not only is she profitable, but she is pretty on paper. She pretty in person. Like, her pictures on Instagram are cute, but she really, really cute in person. So I brought India, who embodies the principles of polished and profitable. So we're going to talk about that today. India, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Ooh, where do I start? So I am India Monae. I am the founder of Landover Labels, which is a wealth building platform for Black people. We are now 5 years old, and
not a pandemic baby.
yeah, people had time, but you know what? We'll talk about that.
Yes.
We're now 5. She is 5. I call it. She's 5 years old,
Yes.
and she was a product of some pain, some trial, what some people would call tragedy, a transition. And so now I'm still traveling, teaching our people how to invest in real estate.
Nice. So I believe that everyone doesn't need to be an entrepreneur. You believe that?
Yes, absolutely.
You get to a point where you like, right? But everyone needs to be an owner. So what do you think about this, the whole idea of not being an entrepreneur, but everyone needing to be an owner?
I think that the lack of ownership in our culture is the reason why there's such a lack of power, such a lack of control. The reason why we get owned, right? I like to say own or be owned, and we get sunned.
Yes.
Right? And it's because there's such a lack of power because we don't own anything.
Yes.
Right? And so it's not just as simple as, hey, get out of my house because I'm your landlord. Get out of my job. Get out of the state.
Right.
No, you can't come here and, take care of what you need to take care of when it comes to even, I don't want to go too deep, but
go.
Abortion. It's just certain things like laws because we're not in a position of ownership. Right? And so we don't realize that. We think that we're free. I have a little bit of a problem with the fact that we think that entrepreneurship equals freedom. Bro, I'm supposed to look. It don't.
Because we both looking.
It don't.
No.
It does not. It gives you a certain level of freedom. It gives you a bit of time freedom.
Yes. If you have the skill set.
Yes. And if you're investing correctly.
Yes.
Right? But ownership gives you more power to really be free and really be able to, help make these laws and break these rules and break these curses. It's not just entrepreneurship. So I love that you think that. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
One of the things that I talk about, and a lot of my passion is I still have my great grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And again, he's the first Black race car driver. So he gives me a lot of history. He's the out of the box man from Louisiana.
Amazing.
But we only have, as Black people, 100 years of ownership of our bodies and even just property. So I always talk about this idea or this concept that, you go from being property to owning property.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't acknowledge that we've only had a short time. So there are some things that you have to learn and you have to be willing to learn to be an owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think our culture finds more pride in owning our bodies, like, expressing ourselves, in art and music and all of these things, but we don't really put that same energy towards like our generation.
Yes.
And toward our community.
Exactly.
And so I've had people like, we just went to Detroit and somebody was like, that's the hood. I'm like, yeah, it's the hood, but it don't have to be the hood, right? But the only time you'll actually want it is when somebody else wants it. And now they're going to charge you more to live there. Or you can't even live there because you can't afford it because they have built it out, how they want it. So just really shifting our minds to understand that we need to take away all this consumer aspect of our culture and really pay attention to there is no old money in our community. No. Really. I have my great grandfather, which is my grandmother's father, and he's an anomaly, you know, meaning he paid cash for his house. He was a wealthy man, right? but we were still poor.
Yeah.
You know, like we were still poor.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is like, it's not enough time of wealth for us to be so proud that we have a Mercedes and be happy that, you know, just all these things that we talk about. Like, I think we need to go back to the basics,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Or even just one house. I own my house. I own my house.
And
it's
then
not
what's-
enough.
we were
Because when
just-
you leave,
Yes.
yeah, it's not enough. I think we don't realize what ownership does for us as a community. So when people say that's the hood, it's the hood because even when you're there, you're not going to NPU meetings, neighborhood planning unit meetings. So
You don't know what they're
have
doing 10 years.
Exactly. You have no control over what's coming. You
Yes.
can't yes or no or yay or nay
Yes.
what's coming to the hood. But they
Yes.
come in and they buy those properties and they sit in those meetings that you
Yes.
call the hood
Yes.
and they control it. And so in 10 years, it's no longer the hood. You missed out on not only owning in that area, but you missed out on what's coming to that area. And most importantly, you missed out on the equity.
Yeah.
that
And we
came
complain
from
about it
owning.
after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm from Crenshaw and Slauson. Like,
Okay.
I remember when they started building the train that's now done. They told us it was going to be a train in 5 years. Like, I literally lived on Slauson
Yeah.
when they were, you know, breaking down things. And that they said in 5 years. And we
Yeah.
were like, oh, 5 years? You know what I mean? So we watch things happen.
Mm-hmm.
We sit on the sidelines.
Yep.
And then we talk about the people that do it. And then we ask them for permission afterwards.
Yep, exactly. I taught in Newark in
Ooh.
2019, and it was mostly New Yorkers. And so we know how gentrified Brooklyn has become.
Mm-hmm.
At that time,
Flatbush, right?
all of the, you know, the whole borough
Yes,
now.
yes.
But at that time, I said, what part of Brooklyn has yet to be gentrified?
Yes.
And they said, Brownsville. And I said, okay. I pulled up a property in Brownsville and I did an exercise. I pulled it up on Zillow. I said, would you buy this? They were all like, hell no. And I'm like, are you crazy?
Right.
Are you crazy?
Right.
Now Brownsville is gentrified and the property values are insane.
And guess who wants to live there?
So what you're going to do is you're going to come back to the hood, what used to be the hood, and pay overpriced rent to somebody else's family.
Yes.
To their legacy.
Yes.
So you're building their portfolio
Yes.
for them
Yes.
because we didn't take the leap when we should have.
No, what they're going to say is, do they accept Section 8? Like,
And they,
what?
Oh, your ass, no. Okay,
Right.
not curse on here.
Not over here.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It's unfortunate.
Oh.
It's unfortunate.
Oh. Yes, we hear. So in my community, I talk about how women need to charge for their services.
Okay.
So how important do you think it is for women to be profitable before starting a not-for-profit business?
Pause. I want you to say that again, but look at her when you say it. So how important do you think it is? Look at the question again. What is it?
So how important do you So how important do you think it is for women to be profitable before they start a non-for-profit?
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
wait.
do it
Am I
again.
supposed to answer?
No, I'm
Sorry.
doing it again. I'm doing it
Okay.
again. The
Asking
second
about the
one?
not-for-profit, though. Did y'all just say something about a not-for-profit?
No, I don't know. Nia should make these questions.
Okay, well, no, ma'am.
I was like, I
Okay.
don't got a nonprofit, but I
Yeah.
can answer.
I don't know. Nia should make that question.
What's the next one?
Maybe she thought
So
it was
how-
a nonprofit.
No,
Oh,
I don't know why she did that. Okay, so how does everything you do or not do connect to being profitable?
What was the last thing y'all just talked about? I'm about to do it.
We were talking about section like the mindset.
Okay, so the mindset. So how does mindset play a role in ownership? And because you talk a lot about consumer versus ownership,
Yes.
I think that
Yeah.
conversation, since her principle is profitable,
Yeah.
she's always planning for profit.
Yes.
Everything she does, there's got to be a return on the investment.
Yes.
It's about the mindset.
Yeah. So one of the principles that I talk about is being profitable. In the Proverbs 31 woman, it says literally in there that everything, she makes sure that her dealings are profitable. How important is it for you to make sure that your dealings are profitable? Or how do you do that?
well, it's the mindset, and it's a very simple concept.
Mhm.
Profit is priority, and that's just
Ooh,
it.
Wait. No, that's good.
Let's say it again. Let's start it over.
No, just say it again
Okay.
because they need to hear that.
It's a very simple concept. Profit is priority. Period.
Period.
I don't know what I got on my hat today. 7-figure landlord?
Yes.
Okay, period. I had my Land Over Labels hat on, but I changed it. You know why? Because being a landlord is not enough, right? You need to be able to not only cash flow, but have equity, because profit is power. And again, like we said, that's freedom. That's true freedom, right? And so profit is priority. Like that little greater than sign, land over labels. The greater than sign, I actually took the land and the labels off. So if you go to my website, it's just the greater than sign, because it means that much. It's the priority.
The attention
right?
to detail. Yeah. I took it off.
I took it off. Land is the priority.
Yes.
And land symbolizes so many things.
Yes.
It's not as simple as just land. It's not green grass and dirt, but it's about profit.
Yes.
And that's the priority.
So what you just said is actually in the book. So there's a scripture in Proverbs 31. It says that she goes and she inspects a field. It's talking about this woman. She goes and she inspects a field. She buys it. And with her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So she bought something that was profitable.
Profits. Yeah.
It had equity. And she took the money. She took the earnings from what she bought.
And reinvested.
And you see how when you just know.
That's the game. That's the game.
You reinvested. And I always tell women, no, she didn't take her earnings and buy another bag. Like she went and she reinvested it and she planted a vineyard.
First of all, I need to make sure I'm in Bible study.
Uh-oh. What is that?
I don't know what that was. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Do you know where you were?
She said, I need to make sure I'm
I said, first of all, I need to make sure I'm in Bible study tomorrow. Because, reinvesting again. And so now, and I like to, emphasize 7-figure landlord. You're going to take your equity. You're going to reinvest it.
Yes.
We ain't selling nothing. We don't own enough to sell. We don't.
Please.
We don't
you just dropping bombs and just, it's
Fix
so
and
nice.
flipping is a thing that people are going crazy about.
Yes.
But you're flipping out of your legacy.
Hold it.
Hold it. Hold it. Hold it.
How about hold it and turn that house into a business?
Exactly. Which I've done. Yeah.
So when we talk about principles can go across all industries, and we did not practice this, but I just know that a woman that understands profit understands what reinvesting is.
Yeah.
I think for us, it's hard for people to take their earnings and plant the vineyard because they want the wine like the next day.
Yes.
They want it the next day. Yes. They want to be able to show. So how do you speak into the space for women that are struggling with, like, they're making the money?
Yeah.
Right? How do you speak to them and help them to understand the need to plant the vineyard?
That speaks to our worthiness. Right? This is why, mental and spiritual development is so important.
Girl.
This is why.
Yes.
This is why I gotta get in Bible study. So I can listen. I want to quote these scriptures the way you're quoting these scriptures, but not just quote them. I want to understand them and internalize them, right? Yes. Because my worthiness does not come from what I'm wearing. It doesn't. This is a $20 T-shirt, but I own several properties.
Yes.
My worthiness doesn't come from what I'm wearing.
Yes.
Again, land over labels, and that knowing that, I think ownership also comes with that little bit of freedom of not feeling like I'm pressed to show off.
To prove something.
Like I own some real shit. I don't have to drive this car to make me feel like I'm worthy.
Right.
Right? And so that's something, that's a residual.
Yes.
That's something that comes with owning and being in a position of ownership. Because ownership, not only do I get profit, but there's power in the fact that everybody that I hire is Black or minority. Right? And
purpose.
On purpose. Yes. Right? So it makes, I find value in that.
Yes.
Now, don't get it twisted now. I like my things.
Yes.
I like my labels.
Yes.
I like my stuff.
Yes.
Right? And I think we deserve that.
Yes.
But again, it all comes down to priority.
Yes.
Priority. And when you prioritize knowing who you are.
Yes.
When you prioritize removing yourself from relationships that make you devalue yourself. So you're going to, buy some shoes to make you feel better. Post on Instagram to make you feel worthy. When you prioritize putting yourself in the right rooms and removing yourself from the wrong ones, then you don't have those issues with worthiness. And so now it's like priority becomes more clear to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're not fogged. Your brain is not fogged because
Yes.
you came out of this relationship that was, you didn't think it was abusive because he didn't touch you, but you battered.
Right. On
You're
the inside.
bruised on the
On the
inside.
inside.
We can't see it, but you're adorning your vessel with things to make you feel better. Like, girl, how much time we got?
You know, you talked about getting into rooms, and I'm tired of hearing that. I know what we mean when we say it, right? But I think that, not tired like with you saying it, it's more of the concept that we think that creates our worthiness. A lot of people believe, if I paid to get in this room, now I'm worthy.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I have been in a lot of places, India, and I realized that I didn't even take a picture.
Yeah.
Because I was really there to make sure that I was becoming, like, is there something else I need? Like, I was so heavily focused on what is next for me that it was no photo op.
Yeah.
I mean, plus I told you I'm from LA. We don't do all that.
Yeah.
Like, we ain't doing that. But
you've seen some things.
Yeah. I mean, but like, I've been in these spaces where people say that, you know, these high value people are, but I have felt that they were the most deprived. And I didn't fit in with them because I saw them.
Right. That definition of high value, we gotta
stop.
We gotta stop throwing that term
Lord
around.
have mercy, because
we have to stop.
You know, the levels in which people describe value has a lot to do with monetary things. And again, I spoke about this on the other episode. A lot of people had access to money in the last 2 years from an artificial market.
Yeah.
Right? And so their worthiness came from being in spaces they had never been in before, using money they had never had, but they never changed their mindset.
Yeah.
And so now I think what we're going into is a level in which where the people that know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, it's going to rise, you know, to the top.
Coming back to the forefront. Yeah.
Right? But I do believe that when you were talking about the batteredness, I believe a lot of that happened in this space where people were using money to display their worthiness. And I think that is so backwards.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the best things that women can do is first become the woman that could be profitable.
Yes.
The foundational things, and a lot of the foundational things we don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing about ownership, or the lack thereof. We didn't get the experience, right? We are, even for those of us that are first generation entrepreneurs, we don't know anything about systems. We don't know what we need to know about reinvesting. And so, like you said, while we are, you know, showing off the shiny objects, we need to still be learning and, you know, practicing and sitting in places where we can elevate our businesses so that we can maintain and retain them. Right? And so, again, it comes back to priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have this quote. It says success leaves clues, right? Do you believe that?
To an extent. To an extent.
I believe success leaves clues, right? But have you ever been in a room where the clues were being put out, but they were not the people to catch it? So for me, because I know success leaves clues, and most of the time when you're dealing with people who are extremely valuable, one of the things that I learned is that they most of the time will never repeat themselves. Right? But I always look at it as, I need to make sure that I'm the person that has the clue to get a clue. You know, because you can be in the space.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're in the space.
It doesn't mean that you're in it.
Yeah.
Like, all the things have just gone over your head. And so the groundwork is a lot of the alone time, sitting down with yourself, working through things, so that when you are in these positions and success is leaving clues, because
you're ready to receive it.
You're ready to receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
My son, he's playing college football, Pac-12, whatever, and he's like one of the top schools. and Microsoft and all these, billionaires, they come to their
Well, first of
university.
all, wait, I'm stuck on college age son. You look good and still have your
Thank
great
you.
grandfather. What a blessing. Wow. What a
Yes.
blessing.
And so they were all these billionaires and things that come to this particular school because, it's a really good school, right? And so my son calls me, and he's my partner now, my business partner. Like, he has his 750 credit score, and
Awesome.
they have their NIL stuff, so they have money coming in, but he's gonna reinvest it into property.
Awesome.
He's like, Mom, I want to.
Okay.
But I gave him a goal, right, when he turned 18, and I said, what do you want to do? He says, I had showed him how to calculate the deals and how to, calculate your ROI, all of that. I said, so you can buy this or you can buy this. And he's like, I want to buy that. So I had already trained his mind. So even with his credit right now, he's like, he called me yesterday, Mom, we're at Target. I need to get some pots and pans. So should I use this card? I'm only going to use 150.
Yes.
Like, he's on top of it.
Yes, he's ready.
Do I pay this card with this bill? This is due, this is my statement due date, all of that, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, the people came to the school, and he says, Mom, Microsoft CEO is coming, this person's coming, this person. He says, what should I do? I said, stay quiet and get a notebook.
Yeah. And absorb.
Don't tell them, oh, my mom, this, oh, I got a good credit and I'm about to buy it.
Absorb.
I said, get a notebook and close your mouth.
I love that. Love that.
And a lot of times, our lessons come when we may know a lot, but we just need that one little piece of information.
Yeah.
That will change everything.
Well, we won't get it until we know that we don't know it all. And that's the problem for a lot of us, because we see six figures in our business and now we think we're the experts of everything.
No.
You may be the expert of something, but there's still, and that's why it goes over our heads. We're not open to receive it. Right. And a lot of that openness comes from being in that word.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, we're open and we're ready to receive because we're humble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about, I don't talk about it in the book, but I was studying one day. I make money so that I can study.
Yes. Yes.
I love to just study. Right?
I love that. What's your sign?
Aquarius.
Okay, I'm Gemini, so we're...
Oh, Jesus. They said Aquarius is the only sign that understands a Gemini.
I believe that. I believe that.
It's like, we understand the ups and the downs. We're like, girl,
you flow and learn and grow.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I forgot what I was saying.
You like to study?
Yeah, I like to study. So one of the things that I studied was about athletes, and the athlete that has bent knees. The one that is low to the ground is the most that's the athlete that is able to adjust with change really fast. So if you're standing up too high, you're leaving yourself open for the opponent to knock you down.
Wow.
And when I read that, my brain always, like, Bible is just in my brain, right? So I'm reading it. I'm like, wait a minute. So the most valuable player is the one that's low, right? Not the one that's like,
Posted up and
right. The real true athlete is the one that has bent knees. And God was like, yeah, I need you to stay on your knees. I need you to stay on your knees. And I need you to stay low, not because you're low, but because when it's time to shift, you can move and you can pivot. You can, but you are open for attack when you're up high.
Yes, that's so good. That's so good.
And God says that.
So true.
He says, humble yourself before the Lord and He will lift you up.
Yeah. You know what, too? I was listening to, my cousin was telling me about a sermon she listened to last week. And the pastor said, the devil doesn't read minds, right? So when you go around talking and speaking and boasting.
Giving insight.
Yeah, you let him know what to attack.
Yes.
Right? Stay on your knees, stay humble, stay quiet, and stay open to receive. It's like.
Bent knees.
Yes.
When I read it, it's like, the athlete is low and they're able to jump up high and then go back down. Like, there's levels and times where the elevation is necessary.
Yeah.
And there's times where we actually need to display what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to do it,
Yes. Love that.
not us.
Love that.
You know?
That's good.
Whew.
That's good.
What does having a bird's eye view of your life look like, and how does this help you professionally and personally?
You know what? I just said I was a Gemini, so I'm a little flighty and all over the place and a little bit ADHD. So
Sounds like me.
it takes for me to really reground and refocus
Yeah.
often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like often. I don't think I'm the regular person with it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure that I'm writing,
Mm-hmm.
going back and reading what I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
Ideas are in abundance. And so it's easy for me to jump around from one to the other.
Yes.
And you like, wait a minute, hold still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God, which one is in your will?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, they come to me, they flow to me so freely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I want to attack them all.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to my bird's eye view, I have to refocus and recalibrate
and that's okay.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's okay. And I think really embracing who we are, because I think even in the thing that we consider as like maybe a weakness is also our strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I will say that.
Like it's just a little tweaking of, you know, and I think that that's the thing that we should stay on, like focus on that. And yours is like the creativity, the flow, the vision, and all of that.
Which can come off as inconsistency.
It can for a person that needs structure.
Yeah, right.
My husband is from Africa. He's Ethiopian, girl. He needs the structure.
Yeah.
And when he met me, he said, I have 13 wives. He told my dad that. He was like, I have 13 wives.
Good.
Right. Which one you want today?
Exactly.
But me knowing that, I didn't take offense to it because I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to manage that. Like you said, manage it.
Manage it, yes.
And then, you know, sometimes like we drive people crazy with it.
Yeah.
But you need people like us.
And you know what? It could be considered a weakness, but like you said, it's also a strength, because guess what? We're the fastest to pivot when necessary.
Listen, because we had an idea. Oh, this one.
Yeah, exactly. Let me reach in my back pocket.
Right.
Bam.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's necessary now.
So you're talking about pivot. I talk a lot about a few things. I really love now talking about the economy, not in the sense of a worried sense, but one of my strengths is watching patterns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I identify patterns, and I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that I was watching patterns, and I would see people do the same thing over and over, and I would get anxiety. Like, what are they doing? They just did that yesterday. You know, like
it didn't work then. Right.
Right. So, what do you think? And I talked about how I believe our economy right now is more like Great Depressionist, more not recessionish. It's more Great Depression. Which is why I've been really adamant about talking to Black women about money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being pretty on paper, being profitable, and protecting what you have. But I think this is a pivotal time to do it, because the economy is not being addressed how what's really going on. So what is your
that's so true.
What is your thought on that?
We're in a strange place.
Yes.
We're in a very strange place. And so for me, in the real estate realm, everybody has different opinions. And everybody has different opinions.
Oh my gosh, it's so confusing.
It's very confusing. And for a lot of people, it's discouraging. And that makes it hard for me.
Can I just say this before you? A lot of people are followers too. They're not even giving you a real answer.
Yeah, they're
thought out answer.
They're looking for what someone else said.
Yeah. Okay.
What I like to say is go where the market is. There is still not a baby, an old man, a young man, a Black, a Jewish person. There's still no one that doesn't need somewhere to live. So strategies have to change. Again, that's where that pivot comes in. If you bought a property for one particular purpose, that doesn't mean that's the purpose of it forever. So
Exactly.
what I like to say is find the highest and best use of that space.
The highest and the best use.
Highest and best use of that space.
Oh, I like that.
I talked about, well, earlier you mentioned turning a property into a business. And I did that recently because it was an Airbnb for 5 years.
Okay. It's time to retire.
Airbnb has gotten strange. Like, that's my word of the day. Strange.
Right, it's a little strange.
It's gotten strange. And so I
Yes.
turned it into a content space because now everybody knows that content is king. And so, you know, what is the highest and best use of what you've invested your money in? How can we pivot? And so that's super important. And that's how we navigate this economy now.
Watching patterns.
Watching patterns. Yeah.
Seeing where the money is.
Would love for you to ask her how she identifies whether an idea that she has will be profitable.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay.
I like that.
Yes. So how do you identify whether an idea that you have is profitable?
So profit is always the goal, right? And so, as you know, I call myself an investment strategist. I need to see at least 2 or 3 strategies that are possible before I invest in anything. And so just kind of knowing, like, I have properties in the Midwest. Those properties are simply for cash flow. They're not for equity. So those are my fallback properties. If
Got a little
something,
cash.
yeah, got a little cash. If something isn't working in the bigger projects, if something isn't working within my business land over labels, if I get sick, got a little cash.
Yes.
I don't expect any equity from those properties, right? Because it's not a major city. It's not like Atlanta where people are moving by the thousands, by the boatloads a day. And so we know, like, you invest in things that you can have multiple uses for, or multiple backup plans. So in Ohio, you know, people are like, well, what happens if they stop paying rent? I know that market is known for the assistance. I like to say it's a perfect project.
They have Section 8, but then
They
there's
have Section 8. They have what we call MyCap. They have the Jewish Community Center who pays rent up 6 months at a time. It's so many ways for you to get assistance in those. I call those the project areas, right? Like the government said, we're going to see how long we can, you know, disable these people and cripple their thought process.
Because it...
Right? And so those
there.
project areas, you know what? I have 2 different, you know, I can have multiple opinions. I'm a Gemini on similar. So I have 2 different opinions on ownership, right? Me as a Black advocate, you know, it pains me to see gentrification. Me as a Black investor, I see money.
Exactly.
I see coins. It's tough for me to say people in the Midwest, in my experience, are serial renters.
Exactly. I was telling someone that. That's why you don't even have, like, refrigerator. You don't offer refrigerators.
Yeah,
because they have one.
Yep, they have them. Guess what? They pass down apartments. It's unfortunate for me as an educator because there's a level of guilt because I want to go educate and say, you guys need to break this. Y'all need to break this. But I can't. Look.
You have to choose your battles.
Yeah.
The scripture says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge.
I love that. I love that. It's changing, you know, like
slowly.
It's slowly. I mean, so the wealth gap is changing at a pace that we'll never see in our lifetimes. But the gap of knowledge is much faster.
Yes.
And so I like to say it is our responsibility to, you know, reach back and liberate as many of our people as possible. But at the same time, I need my cash flow every month.
You know, I was just telling someone this, that I removed myself from and I don't think I ever really dove into the coaching space, but I just said that I'm not a coach, right? I'm a commander of excellence, right? But one of the things that really shifted my mind on that is when I read about the Israelites, when God freed them, right? And he opened up the Red Sea, they went through the wilderness and all of that, right? I never knew that right before they went through the Red Sea, that the Egyptians gave them all their gold. So when they left Egypt...
And then they made idols instead of...
Let me
I know
tell
that
you.
one. I know that one.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
They made an idol because they left with gold. So this is why I changed my thought process. on the type of women that I want to service,
Yeah.
right? Even with credit. Yes, I help people get pretty on paper, got their credit together, but then they went and
Listen, you have to find the highest and best use of your time.
that's what
That
I'm
means you can't
saying.
coach everybody.
Right. Well, I'm not coaching anybody. Okay.
You
I
can't
am
command everybody. Right.
I saw myself more like Harriet Tubman. She had the pistol. She went back. She told them this is what we're doing. The people that were ready, they ran.
Yeah.
And even the ones that went back that were trying to turn around, she was like, you ain't going nowhere because you ain't about to mess up our plan.
Right.
You know? But when I read that, I just said that was an eye opener that history doesn't really repeat itself, people do.
Yeah.
Right? And so for God to free the people and give them wealth, and they wandered through the wilderness for 40 years on an 11-day trip. It was only 11 days from the promised land.
Okay.
11 days.
40 years.
It took them 40 years. And even while they were there, they complained. Why'd you bring us here? You brought us here to die. I mean, I read it and I just saw that it is important to take people that are ready to go.
Yeah. I started implementing the mindset piece in my curriculum in 2019 after a year of people have 700 credit scores. People have been on their jobs for years, and then their lease is up in their apartment and they still renew it. And I was like, I told you were ready. So mindset is so
big.
It's so crazy. It's very hard to infiltrate because your mindset is your mother's and your grandmother's and you know what I mean? So you have to shed that. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with trying to combat mindset. And
well, we have to stop saying it runs in my family.
Right. Well, you're saying it, so now it does, right?
Well, that runs in my family.
If that's what you think,
right.
As a man thinking, so is he.
So is he.
Right? Don't run in mine.
Right. It ain't running over here. It better run back.
Right. Until it ran into me.
Yes.
Until it ran into me.
Until it ran into me.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, it ran into my family until it ran into me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not no more.
Girl.
Because we Harriet.
Okay.
Stop right there.
Let me tell you something about Harriet that I mentioned in the book. Harriet, she was unique in that I watched this documentary about her. She paid her owner the year's salary. So let's say, for example, it was $100. She paid him the year's salary up front so that she can contract herself out.
Wow.
Right? So it takes a certain mindset anyway, right? But she did that. And she worked so when she contracted herself out, she worked for some fishermen. And the fishermen taught her how to read the stars in the sky.
What? That's the part they don't tell you, right?
And her mom taught her how to heal herself with herbs and things like that. And her dad taught her how to read the trees. So all those three elements is what helped her navigate.
I love that.
But if she hadn't contracted herself out, she paid her owner, here, take the money. Let me go work for some other people. She exposed herself to something new, which allowed her to gain freedom. It changed her mindset.
Yeah, her mind was liberated, so she was able to liberate us. I think they want us to see if she was a liberator. She was a genius. Let's start there.
But let's talk about, too, she also had something where she would pass out. She had, I think it was like epilepsy. So she was on this road.
Wow.
On this trail or whatever. And she would pass out and she had these visions and God would tell her where to go.
What?
Not only that, when she became free, this is another thing that I talk about. And I really want people to really hear this. When she got to where she was going and she actually got freedom, there was a Black woman who had never experienced slavery. She wasn't a slave. She had to teach her how to speak like a free woman.
What?
All of those elements, I think, really helped. Even when she went back, she had to go back with a different demeanor. She couldn't, yes, ma'am, whatever they did, whatever slaves did, because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But whatever slaves did, she had to change her language. Yeah.
She couldn't be.
She had to change her demeanor.
Right. It's crazy. I think we take for granted our paths.
Oof.
And that is such a big problem too, because sometimes we're so bitter about the things that we go through. We keep missing the lessons and not understanding that those lessons are the bricks that are paving the way, that are, giving us our journey.
Yes.
And so, some people spend their whole lives repeating the same cycle in the same season.
Because it runs in my family.
Until it ran into me, baby.
Until it ran
I'm
into
Harriet
me.
Tubman.
So, you actually are Harriet Tubman because now you're leading other people to freedom of information.
Okay.
So talk
Yes.
a little bit.
Okay.
So you actually are the glamorous,
Thank you.
beautiful Harriet
Thank
Tubman,
you.
leading Black women, Black people to ownership.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about your next things, like your next...
So Land Over Labels is back.
Yes.
It's been a while, but we're going back on tour.
Nice.
Starting in October.
Nice.
So we do these 3-day seminars,
Okay.
Conferences. The first day is, again, it's kind of setting the tone and getting that mindset ready. A lot of networking. The second day, we're in the classroom. It's a lot of teachings, a lot of numbers, and numbers kind of scare people. So what I realized is doing this market analysis, teaching people how to find the perfect deal. And again, the deal that will work in different markets, the deal that will lead to your legacy, not just your lifetime. But teaching those things, it was kind of hard for people that need to learn in person and out in the field. So we started doing the in the field trips. So we do new construction tours, we do new development tours, and we go on the field and you have a QR code that you scan and you're able to really follow along. You follow along and you're able to crunch the numbers. And I'm like, hey, is this a good deal? Like you did with your son. Is this a good deal or is it not? Right? And so that when you leave here, because fear is what cripples us. I could teach you for 2 days, but now that you stood in front of this property, you stood on this project, you know how much it costs. You know what the after repair value is. You know what it's going to take to get it where you want it to go. Now, is it a good deal?
Right.
And so when you teach that, people are a little more apt to take activity. Take action. And add activity to what we're teaching. And so that tour starts in October. It ends in July. We're going to Charlotte, Houston, Dallas, DC, Atlanta. Child, I don't know. A lot of places. I don't know the dates. I do know we'll be in Charlotte the weekend of October 26th.
Okay.
And Land Over Labels is collaborating with Black Girls in Real Estate.
Nice.
So it's going to be a time.
It's going to be
It's going to be a time. Yeah, I'm excited.
So tell people how to find you.
So before I let you go, since you're so polished, we got to get into this beauty secret.
Oh, I know. Yes.
Pretty on paper study.
Okay. Because we were. Yes. Okay, so because you are so polished and so beautiful in person,
thank you, as are you.
Please give us just one beauty tip and like one of your brands that you love to use.
I really love Caudalie face wash.
Okay.
And I really have to wear Black Girl Magic sunscreen every day. Every day. I don't do a moisturizer. I just do that. That in rose water. Yeah.
And someone else said rose water.
Rose water at least maybe 3 or 4 times a day. It just refreshes me. I run around a lot, so it refreshes me.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So, tell the people where to find you.
You can find me at landoverlabels.com. That is where you'll be able to book your ticket to the tour. Land Over Labels on Instagram, and my personal Instagram is India Monae _ India Monae.
Yay. What am I saying?
On this episode, we covered polished and profitable.
Yes.
And then...
So on this episode, we covered polished and profitable. Listen, guys, this one you gotta watch because we went a little bit deeper than we thought. But being profitable has a lot to do with mindset. It's not about just crunching your numbers. It's really about becoming the person that could actually do the thing. So we talk about that in there. Mindset, big. Being polished is extremely important. But becoming a woman that can identify different ways to be profitable in one business, one property is essential. So check out the next episode. I hope you guys like it. Peace.
It's Aneesa Getaneh. They was doubting by my calling, now they peeping away.